morning. Welcome in once again to another installment of Your Life Matters with clinical social worker Dr. Beth Plachetka from Safe Harbor Counseling and Dr. Beth Speaks. Dr. Beth with us on a Memorial Day Monday. Good morning, Doctor.
Hi, Mike. Happy Memorial Day.
Yes, same to you. Thanks for joining us as always as we conclude our series of mental health hacks for Mental Health Month, which is May, and we've got one more show for our audience today. And what are we focusing on today's program?
Well, we're focusing on the importance of remembering, of celebrating history for our mental health. When we're living life, it seems like everything is kind of like Groundhog Day. Most days seem like the same, and what day of the week is it? And can't quite tell. And nothing seems new, or everything is new, and we get confused. And it's easy when we're focusing on the right now and not noticing the past that we come up with our own interpretation of why someone did something or why something happened. Now, I often smile when people tell me this because as a therapist, I've studied a ton of theories. I have lived long enough that I have a lot of hours with people. And I can usually, given a situation, suggest a couple reasons why somebody might do something that might be kind of close. But I honestly am not going to know unless I hear the whole story. And then usually the person ends up telling me or saying it out loud, where they're kind of telling themselves too, in that retelling. We just can't know unless we know the whole story.
Sure.
And if we don't know history, we don't know the whole story. Now, I was always a good student. I always thought facts were fun and all that kind of stuff. I passed the tests. But I really didn't understand how history impacted things, how things repeat, and where ideas came from and who those people were, until I became older and could look back and really notice that there was something going on. So, at this time of year, every year, we celebrate. Celebrate sounds like we're happy, but we remember and honor things like wars and laws and deaths and births and edicts and decisions. And for most of us, we check it off the list. We say, okay, this just happened. Lincoln did this, or Washington did this, or their Civil War, whatever.
Sure.
But what really makes it impactful for our mental health is we have to think about what the conditions were at the time, what the people were like at the time, what kinds of sacrifices they made. Somebody was talking about the Civil War one time and a study that was done on the soldiers when they returned. Obviously, forensically, they looked at information about them. I forgot that most of those soldiers were married men who left their wives and children at home, went out, fought. Some of them came back and some of them didn't.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Adding that to the Civil War, which is different than war as we see it now, it means a lot. So, we are who we are because as individuals, families, communities, and a country, as a world, because of what people did in the past. If we don't have that depth of understanding, we're going to make wrong decisions, make wrong assumptions, and feel anxious and depressed. So, the other thing we need to think about is, I can't apply my experience to my father's teenage years. His teenage years, he had radios. They didn't have TV even. Cars weren't all over the place. It was entirely different. My kids can't do it to mine. We need to understand that when we look back, if we don't go all the way back to who they were, we're going to have a wrong interpretation, and we're not going to grow from it. So we need to, for mental health, we want to be grateful. That doesn't mean we approve. We want to be grateful because sometimes even the things that hurt are the things that help us grow. We want to be grateful for what people have done, appreciate the outcome, where we're at, and the ability to keep going. And then avoid drawing ourselves into those tight little circles where it's only my way. Because if it's only my way, then we start getting tense and our mental health suffers.
Yeah, you have to give yourself that chance to expand the knowledge and learn the full story, as you mentioned. You talk about tests. Sometimes you would just study enough to learn just to get by with the test, but you don't have the depth of everything else that was going on. And maybe you get that chance as you get a little older and don't have to worry about studying for Monday's exam.
Right, you can think about it and learn.
You can think about it, take your time with it. And Another good hack. That was a good month. Some good stuff there. I hope our listeners got some good information. They can find out more online with resources, past shows. You can always ask questions. Go to safeharboril.com. That's where you can have a great start to get all of this information. You can call 630-466-8657. You can send Dr. Beth an email. They have Facebook pages as well. Check it out. And make sure you join us next week for Your Life Matters with clinical social worker Dr. Beth Plachetka from Safe Harbor Counseling and Dr. Beth Speaks.